Welcome back to the channel. This black male therapist who we've all been loving, who went viral a few months ago, he had a conversation with a woman that we all love to correct in Jazz. And Jazz has been very frequent on Lapeef panels, Fatty's panels, and she's kind of gotten popular for having really bad opinions and jaded opinions about black men and just dating and relationships in general. And this conversation is going to show that no matter how patient you are with a woman who has already decided that she's against men or that she's going to just fight for a womanly narrative, no matter what the details of the conversation are, this is what we're talking about. Hit the subscribe button, also with notification bell. Let's not waste 1 minute.
Slowing down.
What is the chat? Yeah.
No. Slowing down in terms of when you get ready to speak or respond. I think because you're so methodical, and you actually think very similar to me, I'm realizing, in terms of the wheels are turning as soon as you hear certain words, certain phrases, you already start thinking, and you like, already, I know I'm about to go with this, right? Your voice matters. Like, the reason why you're being brought on these platforms, believe it or not, is because your voice actually does matter.
I don't know, brother.
No. Hear me.
Because even right now, it's like,
I know you are tempted to believe that everybody just wants to see you crash out. Well, and that's why everybody's watching you. I actually don't believe that. I actually think yeah, go ahead.
Do you feel in this moment that I have sounded stupid, that I have been a degenerate, that I have been disrespectful, that I have been, whatever the case may be? Do you feel that way?
Not at all. And that's why I'm saying, basically what I'm suggesting is, well, 55% of communication is actually nonverbal.
You can just sense Jazz's eagerness to respond all throughout the time she's having a conversation. And you can tell that this is what's hindering her from being able to listen. Always making sure that she has the best response to a man and making sure that she can shut a man up and make sure that she has that perfect response. She's always calculating in her mind that she's not actually listening to men. And this is how women are dealing with this conversation as a whole at times. Not all women, but the women who choose to sort of disrupt this conversation with really bad deflection. Let's get back into it.
One of my favorite verses, like, in a multitude of words, sin is not absent. I think you need to now start to be a little bit more selective and intentional about when you speak. Now, remember when you and me were on that panel? I actually didn't talk much at all.
Right, I do remember that.
I think I spoke like 3 times in the 3 hours. But each of those moments, because I sat there, waited, decided how I want to go about it, it almost added more meaning to my voice, if that makes sense, than being somebody who's trying to respond to every key moment or every key thing. It was almost like, what's the Proverbs verse? A soft answer turns away wrath, but a grievous word stirs up anger. Like, I envision that, like you just said, I actually think you bring a lot to the table. And you know who else I think this is very similar with is Amanda, what's her name? The one who just did the debate with the 20 conservatives. Amanda.
Who are these niggas?
I cry. I don't know what he means when he says that Jazz brings a lot to the table, but I'm going to try to add something to it and just sort of, I guess, play devil's advocate. I think what he means by she brings something to the conversation, or at least what I take from that, is that Jazz represents black women rebellion in this conversation. She represents what a lot of black women feel in their private moments, but she's bold enough to actually say out loud and try to formulate arguments around and stand on. And of course, it hasn't gone well for her on any of these panels because she's not right about the things that she's talking about a lot of the times. But let's get back into it.
Thanks for that comparison. Everybody
but hear me out. Educated, has the gift of gab, can defend many different various arguments, but when trying to react and respond to everything and not being more selective with what she engages with and when, that messes up her message.
Sure, absolutely.
Right? I'm not saying it's easy, but that's a very clear cut one where I'm like, yo, if you like pick your spots a little bit more, it's going to hit the way you actually want it to be. And the last ones was like redefining the sisterhood. And this is what I had mentioned at the very beginning, right? I know how those women who consider themselves a part of the sisterhood probably identifies it as something very positive, defending each other, having each other's back, looking out for each other, making sure each other is safe. That is an aspect of the sisterhood that I absolutely agree with and want and would hope that y'all continue to honor, and that we as men start to do that for ourselves as well, because I actually think there's a unified front in terms of looking out for each other, right?
Absolutely.
The issue is, and it's kind of leaning to what I kind of alluded to not too long ago about the reason why the patriarchy is problematic is because it's filled with imperfect people, i.e. men, who can abuse that power and authority at times. That's what makes it flawed.
I feel that's what men want, though. That's why you hear a lot of men.
But what I'm getting at is the second piece. There is an aspect of the matriarchy that also includes flawed human beings who can make mistakes and who can abuse and weaponize power and influence, et cetera, et cetera. And even remember that example we just gave where sometimes the topic really is about the man or the male in a particular scenario, and the topic primarily should be on him. We shouldn't spin it to be about women. We shouldn't somehow work it back to being about women somehow. Like, dude, if you're a failure, you're a failure. If you effed up, you effed up, right? And imagine if you were a therapist, somebody comes into your office and they spend 90% of their time blaming society and everybody else. What's the chances they're actually going to make the changes to improve their life? Very minimal.
Right.
I'm glad that he's addressing this, because when you talk to people like Jazz during these conversations, everything comes back to black men. And then you've been seeing it with the older women on the Lapeef panels and stuff like that. You see that you can't address black women without black men having to be addressed also. And this is symbolistic of black women just being in a habit of not taking accountability for anything that they do alone. I blame the sisterhood, all that bad black girl magic propaganda, and now our women just are above reproach. Let's get back into it.
So my lens is that I think when we're very male-centric, male-oriented, or femme-centric, femme-oriented, and we're leaning too heavy into the patriarchy or too heavy into the matriarchy or femme-centric models, I think we end up doing things we don't even realize we're doing. So as an example, deflection, minimizing, downplaying, the whataboutisms. What about that side? What about that side? We're going to knowingly or unknowingly use those type of tactics to bring the attention back to who we really want to talk about. I genuinely, like, what we're seeing when it comes to the quote unquote sisterhood is a lot of deflection and defending and sticking to our side, even when stuff is really bad. Really bad, right? So for you, like I said earlier,
do you want me to?
Yeah, and then I'm gonna let you. What I'm, and this is both a challenge and a critique to me and everybody else. Is like, I want us to be very mindful that if people like you, Jazz, and other women who we do think are very smart, who can speak, who can articulate, who can debate, and who are very confident, doesn't come at female accountability through a way in which y'all know it can be received, you're going to leave it open for all the people who don't have the best intent. So on these platforms, when men are going to say things that's triggering, try to get you to act out of character, try to make you look bad, and they're also simultaneously, while doing that, saying something about women or black women, that's actually the moment.
I need to agree and disparage black women as well. That's the moment I need to be like, you're right.
That moment, Jazz, is not about you no more. At that moment, it's not. I'm telling you, that is the magic piece that I'm saying. The reason why I even wanted to interview you is because I think you have all the actual prerequisite gifts to really blow up in this. Like your panels, you invite men and women that you feel respects masculinity, femininity, men, women. You can like run that. Like I really see that. And what I'm basically saying is like that test that we keep failing in that moment sometimes. That's the moment when Jazz gets to model what does Black femininity look like in this moment. When tempted, when triggered, how to hold her sisters accountable and still do it in grace. It gets to the point where it's like, damn, not only did she speak and acknowledge what women need to improve on, she didn't curse them out. She didn't destroy their character or say that they're trash and that they're a waste of women. And she also didn't compete and go back and forth with the dudes that was trying to trigger her. Yo, who was this? Who is this? Who the hell was it? Like, yeah.
I hear what I totally agree. So what I'm hearing is when the topic is on men, even if it's not true about women, where I could win is still jump in and agree with them while they are, I don't know, tearing women down or talking about women. Are you saying like I will win if I join in disparaging them with them?
What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Y'all see what I'm talking about? Jazz is not actively listening in this conversation. She's just waiting to give her feminist, delusional responses, but she's not actually even listening to this man speak. And he's about as patient and as mild as it gets. I'm here to prove that there's no tone to speak to these women and that's going to make them get it. There's no nice way to do it. They're always saying, it's not what you guys are saying, it's how you're saying it. And then we bring some kind, pacifist, borderline yogi black male therapist like this guy, and then hyenas can't even yield to this dude.
Acknowledging the parts of what they're saying. So remember when I said about selectively picking and choosing what parts you want to engage in a conversation? Right. When me and you mentioned and we're talking about the young lady, the OnlyFans girl with Shannon Sharp, you decided to focus more on Shannon. So when they're saying,
I told you why.
Yeah, but what I'm saying in this example, when they're saying things that's about women, some's true, some's false, you get to decide when and how each of these points you want to address. So for instance, if they say Black women are the least desired in terms of getting pursued for marriage, what does the stats say? If the stats saying they're the least married and highest divorced, okay. Now, one way to do that, one way to respond to that would be like...
That's me skewed, though.
What is it with you anyway? Somebody drop you on your fucking head?
Yeah, but what I'm saying...
But not that one, though. Stats can be skewed, but the stats like Black women marrying 1 in 4, that's not a skewed statistic. You still have to prove why the statistic is skewed. You can't just say, oh, well, sometimes stats don't get it right, so I don't have to go with that because we know stats have been inaccurate before. It's like, no, just because some statistics in history have been inaccurate at one particular time, that doesn't mean that this particular statistic doesn't speak volumes to the quality of Black women and doesn't speak volumes to your inability to handle people correctly and to deal in relationships in a healthy manner. Because we know that because Black women are the highest divorced, least married, that has something to do with their character. That's why they don't want to address these statistics head on.
Marriage in our community is high right now.
Let's flip it. Let's flip it. I want you to pick your top 2 to 3, whatever things you could think of. I want you to pick your top 2 to 3 things that you think Black men are failing at. Just say it straight to me. What's the top 2 to 3 things that you believe Black men are failing at? And I'm going to have 2 different responses, and we'll go from there.
2 to 3 things Black men are failing at? I don't think Black men are failing. I think
what's something that we need to get better at?
Looking to each other. We need to stop looking at each other as the enemy. I think that's what we need to focus on first. Like, we have to stop I'm against you, you're against me as Black people. That's number one.
You're trying to make it out like Black men are trying to be your enemy, when really, if anybody's trying to be the other person's enemy, it's the person who has put in the least intellectual effort into their argument, which is actually the women. If anything, if anybody in the scenario is just trying to create a war out of nothing, it's the women, because when you look in these conversations, the women are the ones who are putting the least effort into trying to have the conversation fairly and from an intellectual standpoint. It's just emotional. It's just like, oh, I feel bad about the conversation, so I don't want you to have the conversation. Let's get back into it.
For each other. I know it's going to take some time for people to really hear that, but I think where we could get better, if we're talking about just men, looking to Black women as the women that have your best interests, that are not here to hurt you, and try to cultivate more environments where you're experiencing that. Because I am aware there are disrespectful women out here. There are women out here who disparage men. There are women out here that tear men down. I don't think we should focus on those women.
But I think when you say that a patriarchy is controlling the dating market or trying to control women, when that actually isn't the truth, or you try to put a negative emphasis on the fact that society is sort of run by a patriarchy just to denigrate men, I think that that's being against men. And I don't think that you can prove that men are just against women for no reason at all. You guys will say that men are against single mothers. No, men are against delusional single mothers. You guys will say that men are against overweight women. It's like, no, men just overwhelmingly prefer fit women. So when overweight women start asking for large amounts of money and acting like they're as good as the fit women, that's where the problem comes in. Let's get back into it.
It's like Black women aren't getting married. I'm like, maybe a stat that can easily be skewed is saying that. But when I look around in real life, my Black people are getting married. And statistically speaking, a stat just came out recently that Black marriage is at an all-time high, basically.
I have no idea where she's getting that statistic. You a liar. That's just simply not true. Black women are still marrying at the lowest rate. I don't know where Jazz is getting this from. See, this is that shit that I'm talking about. How are we going to respect people who don't even bring real arguments to these conversations? We can't take people serious who don't even value statistics. How are you going to downplay one statistic and then usher in a false statistic into the conversation?
The stats are up. So that's what I'm saying. We're failing. I don't see it. What I see is the bull crap on the internet that people are just rolling with. Because when you sit on these panels and you ask these men, like, are you experiencing that in real life? Are you experiencing women like that? Well, no, not me, but so-and-so, Elon Musk. Okay. So like, what, that's the first thing. I don't want to go on a tangent. Sorry for being long-winded. No, seriously, because I am working on it. I hear what y'all say. I get it. I'm talkative, okay? I'm a human being.
There's nothing wrong with being talkative. There's just something wrong when everything that comes out of your mouth is something jaded or something that is denying demonstrable evidence and statistics.
So the first of which you're saying is that Black men could do a much better job of not seeing their women as the enemy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
At the beginning, you addressed that as we need to stop doing it. And then by the time we got to the end, he had to basically force it out of you to say that really you think men need to stop looking at Black women as the enemy. But where are Black men saying that on the internet? This is my issue with a lot of you Black women. Black men are not saying some of the things that you're putting out there about us. That's dishonest. That's malicious. So whatever it is you think about these men who are having these conversations, you're not in that better of a moral position to be not even listening to what men have to say and just spreading falsehoods about what Black men believe.
Support or protect a woman, a Black woman, before you are to disparage, embarrass, and harm them. And what I find is that, and I'll share a couple of experiences. Just walking down the street, minding my business, going somewhere, and I'm walking this way, a Black man's coming this way. He passes me, looks at me and say, "Ugly B," for no reason. Unprovoked. And I know everybody's gonna call Cap, whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna call Cap. And I think you put that little thing on the end where you're like, and people are going to think that I'm lying. I think that you did that because the story is bullshit and you wanted to make sure that people bought it. But I don't buy it. I think that there's more to the story. I just don't believe that there are just black men out there who just like, you know what? I see this black woman walking down the street, time to tear her confidence down. See, this story goes along with this lie that black women are putting out there about the way men are having these conversations. They want the world to believe that black men wake up every day with tearing a black woman down on the top of their agenda. They want to make a narrative that they're not safe around us also, but it's simply dishonest.
This happened on Monday night on Labor Day. I'm out with my friends and I'm with my friend group, and there's a male there that knows some people that's in my friend group, but I don't know them. And they are talking to people, but I'm not engaging with them. They're not engaging with me, but I know, you know how you can feel somebody's trying to get your attention or get you to say something, but I'm just not. I'm just like, whatever. As we're about to leave, I have a to-go box of food in my hand. And instead of saying like, hey, what's up? What's your name? Whatever. I'm holding my stuff like this. And this man tries to hit my food out of my hand, right? For no reason at all. I see women in Uber rides driven by men that are being berated, unprovoked. Talking about y'all are out of order. Y'all ain't this. You are driving an Uber and you felt this was the opportunity to disparage a passenger.
So you don't think that he was disparaging the passenger because the passenger was, I don't know, being a ratchet ass bitch? Like, same thing with you. I don't think that the guy just hit the food out of your hand just because that's just what he felt like doing. He saw you with your food and he saw a black woman with the food and he was like, you want to know what? There is a black man and a black woman war going on out there. I don't know who this bitch is to think she gets oxtails and rice. It's just, Jazz, I'm not saying that I don't believe these stories. I'm just saying they sound like two half stories.
So I feel with this increase, and I'm sorry if this is a rhetoric that you align with, but this red pill menace spirit type of narrative, I don't have the stats on how many marriages and relationships that it is brought on with this narrative, but I do have the stats on how much it has destroyed them.
1 minute stats matter, and then another minute it doesn't matter about stats. Stats can be skewed. Let's have the conversation without stats. But the moment that you're trying to make a bogus ass argument, you try to go back to stats. Stats that aren't even true. Like this new successful black marriage statistic that I'm trying to figure out where you're pulling out of your ass. I get it. In your own experience, you're seeing people get married. But haven't you noticed where you look around, we all have that same experience. We all know a few people who are getting married, but it doesn't speak for the collective now, does it?
This narrative is making men see women as the enemy and automatically on the defense. I got to treat a woman bad. I got to treat her nasty to get her to like me. Right?
Not true.
The go-to is, I ain't doing nothing for her. I ain't finna hold. It's just nastiness.
No, it's not nastiness. See, Jazz, what you see as nastiness is men having boundary. You guys are used to men not caring about what you all do. This is why you women resent Kevin Samuels on a cellular level, even though this man has been passed away for a while, and you all still are angry at a dead man because you all are committed to a time where men didn't think for themselves and men just were blindlessly chivalrous because we wanted you guys to be comfortable enough to be able to want to sleep with us. We just sort of let you get away with murder for decades and we never said anything. You all didn't know how clearly we saw you. We played this game so well. You didn't know that we kind of saw that you were delusional. We just didn't want to say it. We didn't want to kill the fun. We saw that the dynamic was a little bit unfair, double standards leaning in your direction. But we let it ride because it's still a great deal of fun to be around women. And guys would rather brush that off and continue to experience women than complain and start bullshit fight. It wasn't until women joined the workforce and start trying to chest bump with men that things got weird.
And if we can get out of that for both of us, but if we're talking about men, look to support and help and be kind before you are anything negative. Let the defense down, okay? Because that's further dividing us, right?
Yeah. So if the two things were, we need to do a much better job of not outright seeing you as the enemy and hating you all. And then two, start to weigh or at least try to value more of trying to be a protector and defender versus attacking and just criticizing and shaming and all that, right?
The go-to is attack, shame, disparage before I even know. And then we also know it's a well, I don't know you, so what do I have to protect you? And that's the issue. There have been so many times that I have involved myself to help Black men get out of situations that I didn't even know, because my natural instinct is to protect my people.
I don't believe you.
I want to believe you, Jazz, but you were so quick to go to colorful examples when it came to those other ones, those other examples that, you know, you were talking about. You were just, I don't know, it seemed like you got very descriptive. It seemed like you had planned that lie better. But this one, you don't even have an example for. It's so bad. I don't believe that you just randomly stick your neck out for Black men. And what scenario is it to where Black men need you to protect them and to keep them safe? Or how are you getting Black men out of trouble exactly? I think it sounds good just to put out there because you're on another public platform and you're just trying to do your best to make a win for the false side of this narrative and the false side of this conversation. But real people and intellectual people who are watching, who can see that you're just talking in fucking circles.
Just all have that mindset and not feel like we can only do this to people we know or we're intimate with. I think that would help us to, you know, become better and dismiss this divide that we're in right now.
Fair. Yeah. So one of the ways in which I responded, I just did it. Where the entire while as we were having conversation, this conversation where you're telling me things that were not flattering, may not be true from my vantage point, may not be true for me personally, was I tried to give you the impression that I was listening, right? I was able to recount and kind of respond or even summarize what it was that you were saying. And I didn't even give you an indication of where I stood one way or the other with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you asked me a question. It wasn't really.
Yeah, you know. But if you peep what I just did, you told me things that were unflattering about people that look like me, regardless of whether it was true for me or in my circle or the types of Black men that I do life with.
Sure.
I didn't take it personal.
Yeah.
I didn't take my personal example of where it's not true and project that onto what you see and what you believe is going on. I validated what was you were getting at and even tried my best to try to summarize or give you back what I'm hearing to make sure me and you are on the same page.
Absolutely. And thank you for that.
Yeah. I'm saying
that. Now go ahead and give it to me.
That's Jazz. That can be Jazz. What just happened, what we just did. Where even before I've given my opinion, even before I've said why it is that I think I agree or disagree with you, I didn't mention no stats. I didn't give no feelings. But that entire 5-minute exchange, did you believe or perceive that I was being disrespectful to you?
No. I mean,
I wasn't listening, right? That I was following along with you, that I even understood your frame of reference for why you could see things that way.
Yeah. And I'm even saying that I know this is not all men, but I feel like because we are a consumed social media type of nature right now, in order for us to eliminate like these negative tropes, I feel like this is where we can start. Let's start platforming more men that have positive things to say about the positive experiences they're having with Black women.
Well, what is it? Where is it?
Jazz, if that was the majority of what Black men were experiencing, people like me wouldn't have a job. Nobody would have ever cared about Kevin Samuels' platform. Nobody would care about people like Angry Man, Tommy Sotomayor, Cooley from No Fugazi Podcast, Daily Wrap-Up Crew, all these different platforms. These people would not even be able to get traction if positive ideas about Black women were prevalent. But there's a disparagement going on where Black women are lacking. That's why so many people are talking about Black women in a sense where there's something to correct and there isn't some Black woman praise party happening. Y'all been getting that for 20 years. We've been telling y'all that you're Black girl magic. We've been telling you that you're gold, even though you're not. You don't come from royalty. Like, stop playing. You're not queens. And we've been giving you guys all this free pedestalization and you've done nothing with it. Now it's time for you to get corrected and you can deal with it. You guys are big girls. You're an adult. You're not going to come into this conversation and say, this conversation is creating creating a divide. I know that I can't explain why it's creating a divide. It's just creating a divide. Can we stop having this conversation? I just don't think that that's intellectually honest. Let's get back into it.
On and so forth, instead of constantly talking about the negative things about Black women that they might not even be experiencing themselves. A lot of these men are in happy relationships but have nothing but negative things to say about women.
I know you fucking lying. What the?
Now you claim to know how good the relationships are going of the men who disagree with you. See, any person who starts making assumptions and presumptions of things that they couldn't possibly know about the person who they're having a conversation with is the person who's probably losing the intellectual side of the debate. That's all you women do. All you women do is say, oh, you probably hate your mama. Oh, you're probably gay. Oh, you're probably this or that, instead of actually trying to intellectually counter what's being said. It's always an ad hominem, yet you're claiming that Black men are trying to create a war from nothing, even though Black women are the ones who have ad hominems and shade to give to Black men, while Black men are presenting arguments, logic, acronyms, all different type of creative things to try to have this conversation in a productive way. Yet all Black women can see is war. I personally believe it's projection. Hit the subscribe button, also hit the notification bell, so you can be notified every single time we post content just like this. I'll see you guys on the next one.